Kalam Institute of the Excellence, Sri K. Visvesvaraya Reddy, Member of Parliament, Sri A. K. Gandhi, MLA, Sri Srinivas Reddy, Chairman, Sports Authority of Telangana, senior officials, academicians, industry partners, young and bright students who are gathered here in large number, friends from media, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me immense pleasure to be present on this grand stage addressing you all on the historic occasion of the National Science Day. I am very happy to see this huge gathering of the young, inquisitive and energetic minds present in this great setting. I feel the vibes of positivity in each one of you and am enthused to communicate with you with all my earnestness. Friends, as we know, 20th February is celebrated to honor the discovery of Raman effect by Sri C.V. Raman. On this day, in 1928, Sri Raman discovered that when light is scattered by the molecules, it undergoes change in wavelength. This discovery was significant in physics and earned Sri Raman the Nobel Prize in 1930. The day is celebrated as National Science Day since 1986 with the aim to inspire people, to pursue scientific knowledge and to emphasize the role science plays in shaping our present and our future. Friends, I think this is the great occasion for us. Friends, the National Science Day is one such occasion which not only commemorates the achievements of our scientists, but also encourages the younger generations to take up science and innovation for national development. As you may be aware that this year's theme of the National Science Day is empowering Indian youth for global leadership in science and innovation for Viksit Bharat. This theme is truly reflective of new India's aspiration for progress through innovation and global scientific leadership. Friends, I would like to share with you a special affinity that I personally have with this subject. I have been a student of science in my academic years and was a lecturer in physics early on before entering public life. The day resonates with my own journey, reminding me of the power of curiosity, questioning, and exploration, the very foundation of modern science. Friends, it has been my lifelong endeavor to encourage these values, knowing that they are the driving force behind innovation and progress. It is in this context that I feel blessed to address this magnificent gathering today as I see the multitude of the young people gathered here. I would like to start with a brief historical perspective of human evolution. Through the journey of the scientific development, since the bringing of history, it is a sweeping, although very brief, account for my young friends here to make them understand how human evolution and the scientific progress have been so intertwined. Friends, as some of you would be aware, life started on Earth some 4 billion years ago when some organisms came into being. Throughout this incredibly long journey since, these organisms diversified and multiplied into species of the innumerable forms. There is a general agreement among scholars that the modern human being arrived around 70,000 years ago. These were times when population was very less and land, forests, rivers, rocks in abundance. Man was a hunter or a gatherer of what the nature had endowed the earth with. People had all the resources on earth and very little requirement. But the scene changed around 12,000 years back. When agricultural revolution takes place, people back then took the first steps to sow, nurture, and harvest. In the process, they got tied to a specific piece of land. They settled. They formed small villages near their farmlands and domesticated certain animals too. This continued for a long time. When nothing changed much, history remained almost static. What changed was the space, a life which earlier covered vast expanse of land as gatherer-hunter contracted to the village and the farm up surrounding it. Friends, then about 5 years or so back, the scientific and industrial revolution happened. This further restricted the life largely to towns and cities, where new industries were coming up. With this, life contracted to further limited space. This was a phase of unprecedented material development through scientific and industrial discoveries and inventions. Life changed forever, and we are all products of these scientific discoveries and innovations. Friends, we have not stopped there. What we were witnessing for some 2 or 3 decades in another phase of the human development is the technological revolution. In a mind-boggling phase of the scientific and the technological development, we are now witnessing every day transformative scientific innovations which are influencing our lives in unprecedented ways. The shrinking human space I was talking about just now has in many important aspects ceased to exist now. Today, we are living in cyberspace, working on a cloud, talking to intelligent machines. The physical is getting miniaturized and virtually expanding like the universe. Life has virtually shrunk to a mobile handset. Friends, India was no exception to this development. In fact, it will not be a hyperbole to say that the first nation to have cultivated science was India, our country. Indians had profound knowledge about the heliocentric model of the solar system, value of pi, and the decimal system. It was a fact that we knew the solution to indeterminate equations long before Copernicus and his European contemporaries. Friends, Indian mathematics gave the world the numerals we all use today. Pioneering scholars such as Aryabhatta, Bhaskaracharya, Brahmagupta, Bhatteshwaracharya, Sridharacharya, Sripati Madhavacharya, and many others made significant contributions. Friends, why I am telling you this? To make you understand that when India prospered in science, its economy prospered too. When science flourished in India, India flourished in ancient times. But as the destiny had it, India, at the time of the independence, was both capital scarce and technology scarce. It was also poor in skilled human resource. And India was a low growth economy. Under the circumstances, it was understood that the science was the way forward to improve the rates of the economic development essential for a self-generating economy in industry as well as in agriculture. But the growth and application of science and technology remained slow and patchy in the initial decades of independence. The first real transformation came in agriculture sector with the application of science in what came to be called the Green Revolution. It removed the perennial food grain scarcity in our country. Application of science led to self-sufficiency in agricultural production in India. And this was the first breakthrough in our march to development. It was a victory of science over hunger. Since then, with progressive increase in our scientific development, India has steered through many difficult phases for betterment of our society and economy. From the days of the perpetual scarcity in raw materials and the capital goods, we have overcome many hurdles, be it heavy machines and equipment, mining and the processing of raw materials, textiles, cement, steel, pharma, electricity, and whatnot. Friends, subsequently, the information technology revolution, of which this city, Hyderabad, is an integral part, has given India a prominent place on the world map. When it comes to the software industry, the ingenuity of the Indian mind is in full display. Friends, what I am trying to say through these examples is that modern progress cannot be thought of without consistent scientific evolution and a healthy science-society interface. Science has proved to be the biggest factor in human welfare. In India, we have applied our scientific knowledge and talent to solve the problems of our country. When we send a satellite in space, our weather forecasting gets more accurate, our farmers get timely information, our fishermen get timely early warning on rough weather conditions at sea. Our communication channels get strengthened and our students get classes at home. Friends, here I would also like to highlight the approach of the new Education Policy 2020, which aims to transform science education in India by encouraging creativity, critical thinking, and innovation. This year's theme of National Science Day reflects the same approach. When it focuses on empowering Indian youth for the global leadership through science and innovation, it is in line with the objective of the National Education Policy to encourage students to develop scientific temper and an attitude of research and innovation. The new education policy has endeavored to change the nature of our education system by introduction of dynamic elements like fieldwork, practicals, and the research. This is the line with what Swami Vivekananda had said. The very essence of education is the concentration of mind, not of collecting facts. My young friends, I am also aware that education is a concurrent subject under Indian Constitution. It is the joint responsibility of the center and the state to ensure that our future generation gets the best of education, that no child is left without good education, and that the generations ahead are not only future ready, but also globally ready. It goes without saying that this onerous task of bringing up our young generation as a future ready and globally ready must be a joint effort, a national effort, and nothing less than that. Friends, reflecting on this shared responsibility, I am reminded of an important chapter from my own journey nearly 3 decades ago when I served as the Education Minister of the Uttar Pradesh. I was deeply concerned about the declining standards of education. Determined to uphold academic integrity, I took a bold step and introduced one of India's first anti-copying legislation in 1991. I have always believed that such malpractices are not just unethical, but a grave injustice to our children's future. Education must be built on the pillars of merit, honesty, and excellence, for it is only through a strong foundation that we can truly make our young generation future ready and globally competent. Friends, India has been a hub of innovation since a very long time, even when formal education had not penetrated deep into hinterlands. And we are aware of the famed Indian capacity for jugaad, which is nothing but a creative improvisation for efficiency and better results. Even today, we know that most of our mechanics, electricians, plumbers, and other such specialists have little formal education, but they have the originality and creative thinking for learn and to learn fast, to provide services in the best possible way despite very limited resources. Friends, I am not saying jugaad is always good. We need to improve quality and the sustainability. Friends, my point is that a young Indian mind is all too receptive to new ideas, new knowledge. He or she is ready to experiment and attempt. What is required to provide them with an atmosphere, a healthy ecosystem, so that the best in them comes out and they are ready to contribute meaningfully and in the nation's best interest. My young friends, our government under the illustrious leadership of the Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi is fully committed to harness modern technology for the welfare of the people. Friends, the attempts and the results of our interventions in this regard are evident for all to see. You are all aware that JAM, Jan Dhan Aadhaar Mobile Trinity, has revolutionized the transfer of entitlements to eligible categories by removing leakages and bringing about efficiency. With our concerted efforts, India is today is the leader of the digital procurement infrastructure and the UPI transactions. Friends, I would like to make my point with the recent data, of the UPI transaction. In the year 2024, 171 billion UPI transactions have been done only in India, with total value of transactions around 245 lakh crore rupees. There is no country in the world matching the level of UPI transactions being done in India. There are innumerable other inventions where technology society interface has yielded great results. However, I think this is just the beginning. Globally, new technological breakthroughs are on the horizon, and we have to take a lead in transformative technologies like artificial intelligence, quantum computing, machine learning, clean tech, and many more. And for all, the government is committed to provide our students a scientific infrastructure that is internationally competitive. We need our younger generations to inculcate the scientific temper and excel in such frontier technology. I remember the words of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, who once said, "Science is a beautiful gift to humanity. We should not distort it, but use it for betterment of society." Friends, a while ago, I talked about technological developments in the sectors like agriculture and Indian software industry. Now, I would also like to highlight some modern changes in the defense sector. Friends, the changing formats of warfare in recent years too have an increasingly higher technological component as compared to the past. Critical cutting edge and frontier technologies have been adding new dimension of lethality as well as unpredictability in the modern warfare. Unconventional ways of warfare are adding dangerous dimensions to the ways of the warfare in earlier days. Friends, war is increasingly moving from hardware-oriented to software. If we want to remain strong and secure in adverse situations, we need a youth trained in these technologies who can provide solutions to the critical technological changes. From this point of view also, education in modern science and technology is even more important for safety and security of the nation. Finally, before I conclude my address, on the occasion of the National Science Day 2025, I appeal to our younger generation to adopt the scientific outlook and the critical thinking, to delve into the questions of how and why, try and go beyond the ordinary, for each of you has a spark of brilliance, a latent energy, and a capacity to move the world. It is only a question of recognizing it and committing yourselves to achieve it. I will end with a quote from Swami Vivekananda again, where he wrote, my motto is to learn whatever is great, whatever I may find it." Finally, I once again thank DRDO Aeronautical Society of India, Dr. Satish Reddy, Chairman, and the Hyderabad Central University for organizing this grand event. A special thanks to the Honorable Chief Minister of the Telangana, Sri Revanth Reddy ji, for gracing this event. Thank you very much. My friends, Jai Hind. बोलिए एक बार सभी लोग, जय हिंद, जय हिंद. Thank you very much.
धन्यवाद महोदय. माननीय रक्षा मंत्री आदरणीय श्री राजनाथ सिंह जी की वक्तृत्व शैली का समूचा देश कायल है.